All right, this isn't going to be a very long video, but you've got $1 left to your name, and you've got to put it on one of the underdogs in the first round of the playoffs to actually win the game. Which underdog do you think has the best chance of winning here? Now, there's a couple of different things going on. Let me put the games up on the screen real quick for you. You know what they are. Indiana on the road at Notre Dame, SMU on the road at Penn State, Clemson on the road at Texas, Tennessee on the road at Ohio State. So a couple of different things I'm looking at here when trying to decide, okay, if I was going to pick one upset only, which one would it be? Number one, you look at sort of the history of the playoff. Now, we don't have a long history, about 10 years or so worth of playoff history here, and no history on a 12-team playoff. So we've never seen this particular set of circumstances before where you have teams basically 5 through 12 playing each other. We've usually, generally we've seen the 1 through 4 seeds. There's been very few outright upsets over the course of the 10-year playoff history. Without looking it up, just going off the top of my head, of course, there's the, TCU beat Michigan a couple of years ago. Michigan was about a 7-point favorite. Our Clemson beat Alabama. Was it 2018? They beat them a couple of times, but one of the times in particular, Clemson was a significant underdog, and actually, I think they blew Alabama out there. Was that the 44-16 game? So there's a couple of examples of upsets over the course of the 10-year playoff history that we have, but there's actually a lot more examples of the favorite not only winning but blowing out the underdog. One of the kind of complaints we used to hear a lot about the playoffs was that all the games are blowouts, particularly the first round games. You had some national title games maybe that were close, but a lot of the first round playoff games under the 14 playoff were blowouts with the favorite winning. The other thing you have going here that, of course, you haven't had in previous years of the playoff is the aspect of home games. Okay, now in this case, all 4 home games are favored, and I guess that shouldn't be a surprise considering the higher seed gets the home game. So you've got 7 seed Notre Dame playing at home against 10 seed Indiana, and Notre Dame is a touchdown favorite. They're favored by 7. On the Saturday game, starting at noon, Penn State, the home team, and the 6 seed, is favored over the road 11 seed SMU by 8.5, a little over a touchdown there. The biggest spread of the day, or of the 4-game playoffs that we have coming up this weekend, is in the Clemson and Texas game. Texas is the 5 seed and the home team. They're hosting the 12 seed Clemson, and Texas is actually favored by 11.5. Which is high for a playoff game. And then the nightcap on Saturday, Ohio State, the higher seed at 8, the home team, hosting the 9 seed Tennessee, and Ohio State is a 7-point home favorite. So all the higher seeds are favorites, and all the higher seeds are home teams. So you've got 4 home teams that are seeded higher, and they're all favorites. If you had to pick one to lose, who is it? Does Notre Dame lose at home to Indiana? Does Penn State lose at home to SMU? Does Texas lose at home to Clemson? Does Ohio State lose at home to Tennessee? So I want to know down below. You've got to pick one. If you had to pick one, what's the one upset here you'd be willing to put your last dollar on? Do you think Indiana as a 7-point underdog can win on the road at Notre Dame? Do you think SMU as an 8.5-point underdog can win on the road at Penn State? Clemson as an 11.5-point underdog, can they win on the road at Texas, or Tennessee on the road at Ohio State as a 7-point underdog? You got a couple of weather situations here, which the people up north have been waiting 200 years on, I guess. I don't know. I don't put much stock in it, but if you do, you might want to cross off SMU and Tennessee, right? If you're one of these northern people who think southern teams can't play if the weather dips below 40 degrees, you might want to cross Tennessee off the upset list and go, oh, there's no way Tennessee's winning a game up in Columbus, Ohio. So maybe you cross the SMU at Penn State, cross that off. I don't believe that. I don't think weather is going to adversely affect one team or the other based on where the team is from. In other words, it gets cold in Knoxville, Tennessee all the time. It snows in Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay. It was in the teens a couple of weeks ago there, 20s, 30s all the time. Now, where weather I do think could be a factor is in the style of play that a certain team plays, right? Let's say you got an air raid team that throws the ball 60 times a game and they show up anywhere, north, south, or anywhere in between. And it's extremely windy and either pouring down rain or snowing. That could affect the team's ability to throw the ball downfield, not because they're not accustomed to the cold, but because it's hard to throw the ball in that kind of weather. Tennessee's not that kind of team. They run the ball and play really good defense. I don't think the weather would negatively impact them. SMU, maybe a little bit more. They throw the ball a little bit more, but even their quarterback likes to run around a lot, and I think he'd be able to do that in the cold and the snow. So I don't know. So is it Indiana, SMU, Clemson, or Tennessee? Which one of those four teams is most likely to pull off the upset? I'm leaning SMU here, and I'm going to admit I've been higher on SMU than most people have, and I was wrong in the ACC championship game. So maybe I'm wrong again here. I actually thought SMU would beat Clemson by a couple of touchdowns in that game. And, of course, they didn't. They had to come back from 2 touchdowns down just to make the thing close at the end. Clemson, of course, kicking the game-winning field goal. I'm leaning SMU, maybe the best chance of pulling off the outright upset on the road at Penn State. Penn State just seems to choke time after time after time after time in every big game sort of scenario and situation. The Indiana-Notre Dame game, I just don't think Indiana's got the lines of scrimmage to pull that one off. I think Notre Dame's going to pound it down their throat, run it all over them. It's hard for me to go that way. I'd probably cross Indiana off my list first. And then you're left with Clemson at Texas and Tennessee at Ohio State. I really think that Tennessee at Ohio State is a coin flip game. I'm kind of surprised Ohio State's a 7-point favorite there. Clemson at Texas. What do we make of Texas? I mean, I guess they're a good team. They've only got 2 losses, but their best win is Texas A&M, who's unranked. They've played two ranked teams. Well, they've played 1 ranked team, but they played them twice, Georgia. They lost to them both times. And both times, Texas struggled to even get first downs against Georgia. And it's not like Georgia has some kind of dominating defense like we've seen them have a couple of times in years past. They've had their defense has been exposed on multiple occasions this year, but not by Texas. I mean, they struggled to get first downs, never mind score, in 2 games against Texas. If Clemson's offense can get rolling and they can avoid turnovers, which they've managed to do for the most part this year, maybe Clemson goes down there and pulls it off. But they're the biggest underdog of all. I'm probably going to go with SMU. If I had to put $1 on one team to pull off the upset, I'd probably go with SMU. I think Tennessee's got a pretty good chance of beating Ohio State, but it just seems like such a coin flip there. I don't know. I guess I would probably go either SMU or Tennessee. Clemson, a close one after that, and probably would cross Indiana off my list. But anyway, I want to know from you down below. Or if you want to rank them, you can rank them. But particularly, I want to know which one team do you think has the best chance of pulling off the upset on the road in these first-round playoff games that start Friday night? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. Have a good morning.